Okay, start.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dania Farouk, and I'm going to be talking about Chapter 7 with my partner Fatma that will join me to discuss our chapter and talk about the main points.
Nice to work with you, Dania. Hello, everyone in my group. My name is Fatma Ahmed. I hope everyone is healthy and ready to listen to our podcast. Me and Dania, we're going to present our Chapter 7.
I'm glad that we have made it this far into the semester, and I'm so ready for the warm weather and the sunny days. I have personally learned a lot throughout the semester, and it was a pleasure to work with all of you and listen to your amazing podcasts. I think we all supported each other all along, and I hope me and Fatma can give you the best closing to the chapter. Chapter 7 focused on many important aspects in early childhood education. It focused about children's holistic development and how important it is for children to interact at the early age, as it gives them the opportunity to connect and learn throughout various interactions. Me and Fatma have personally worked with children of all ages.
We only have one chapter to finish our alternative book. We learned a lot from previous podcast, and I enjoy a lot of and learned many stories in the different perspective. Here is our topics we are going to present for you. Our topic is called Posthumanism, the Posthuman's Child and Interactive Pedagogy. I'm going to talk about two fundamental things that children should learn in their early development, and that is the importance of adult interactions and the importance of teaching racism in their early age. How do you think, Dania, is these important things to implement in the class? Are they going to benefit a lot the children through these skills?
To be interacting with children, I definitely think it's important to interact with children as we give them the opportunity to voice their opinions, to talk about what they're thinking, to express their thoughts. So I definitely think it's a very important thing to learn. And I have personally worked with all children of all ages for many years.
Wow.
My first placement, I worked with preschool. My second placement, I worked with toddlers. And my last placement, I worked with infants.
You're right.
I think working with children of all ages and experiencing the difference of skills and the development they require is amazing. You get to see the ways educators try to support children with various opportunities to help them develop the holistic skills they need depending on their age.
Absolutely.
There are definitely many examples I can provide from working with children for many years and seeing the interactions they make with everyone around them. In my second placement, which was working with toddlers, I planned an activity, which I think was very, very interesting.
Wow.
Which focused on small groups of children painting with fall leaves.
That's
Children were interacting with the materials, touching, smelling, and they were very curious to know what the activity was about. I encouraged the interaction by asking open-ended questions, as well as giving them the full opportunity to take their time with their interactions. Yeah, to learn.
It's very interesting. I like the way you interact with them. And the color, the children likes a lot of different colors. So
definitely.
Yeah. Children learn.
Moss focuses on that in the chapter. He talks about interactions to children.
Children learn best when they are being interacted with adults or educators around them, also by anything in the environment such as animals, trees and sea, and even the colors of flowers, nature itself. They learn along with humans and non-humans. For example, when I went to observe the children in the first placement, my professor asked us to just stay at the corner and see how educators interact with the children and how well children respond back to their educators. This was interesting to see. Interacting with children will not only make them happy, but also will allow them to have the freedom in engaging with the environment in social way, cognitively way. It's also support with their emotional skill as well. I remember when I used to capture every action and words that they say through the play and interacting with others in the environment, and I wrote them down as my evidence to observation. They knew the shapes, numbers, letters, and a lot more when educators interact with them. In my other placement, I asked one of the girls who was staring on the picture, "What do you see in this picture?" She smiled and said to me, "This is my mother, and this is my father, They are in their wedding day, but they did not invited me because I'm not in their picture. I laughed and I told her, you were not there because you did not yet born. She paused and see at me and staring at me and nod her head and say, yes, you're right. So children learn best in visualizing non-human objects as well, like animals, trees, and even machines. They do well when interacting curiously with things like a computer and
Definitely.
many more new human beings, object. All these things are working hand in hand, my dear, with expanding the human beings' knowledge. You see, because as for example, as we don't go to school, like college as normal, but we have computer. And if we didn't have computer, the learning will not take place. We will not receive any knowledge. So we are taking this object computer to make us learn more and more in our studies. Yes? So is
Definitely.
them. Is to know the object is to see visual things. You see?
Right. Yes,
Yeah.
children really focus on that. There is a second important highlight of our chapter, is the fact that Moss highlighted the importance of giving children the opportunity to work and interact with children, with everyone, not
Yes.
depending on their sexuality, their skin color, or race.
Yes.
To me, this is probably one of the most important aspects to teach children from day one,
Mm-hmm.
that we're all the same. We all
Yeah.
deserve love and
Absolutely.
respect, despite our differences.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I have also seen a video that Fatma has added about discrimination. I think it's an important resource to refer to learn more about racism and discrimination.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, Fatma, that this video has an important message to everyone about racism?
Absolutely, because many things in this world is challenged by racism. People, they are not like
Right.
they like it before. They are sharing things. They're sharing the goods. They're sharing the food together. But now there is some destruction. Everyone think that I am better than other one, but that one is not good because
Right.
you create hate in our lives, and it's not making us to live happily with others and interact positively with other people. And it's
Of
important
course.
because we are working with multiculturalism. So at the end, we'll have people working with us. They're in different cultures background. So we need to know how to cope with them, like the way we teach the children in the early age.
Definitely. And I think it's very important to teach children that racism is not okay, and to
Not
judge
okay.
someone is not okay, and that we're all the same. And children work with different people, interact with different people, and learn best when they work and see differences, because this
Absolutely.
is how we learn as human
Yes.
beings.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then also,
This is what it comes about that. Yeah, definitely.
yeah, and also Moss explained on page 117 that the child in an interactive pedagogic is not the center of things, but rather part of intelligent web or network of relationship connecting the human and non-human, culture and nature. The materials and discursive relationship, not the child, are centers to everything. What is meant here is that objects have a teaching impact on children's lives, just as much as the child has impact to the object. See, they are both interrelated. If the children stayed alone in an empty classroom without an object around or even without an adult interaction, do you think they can grow and develop cognitively and socially normally without any challenge, Dania?
No, I think children learn best when they're challenged. Actually, in my placements, I was asked to implement and to plan challenging activities for children. So, because this is how they learn best, when they're
Yes.
challenged, and even as adults, I think when we're challenged and then we get something done, I think that's when we learn best.
Yes.
We learn best when we're challenged. We learn best when we're put in a position where, like, okay, I have to think about it. I have to think how to do it. And this is what children actually do. They sit down and they think, and we challenge their thinking to get the best out of them. So definitely I agree with your point, Fatma, is that when we're challenged or when children are challenged, this is when they learn best.
You're right.
And this is when they give their best.
Yeah. And if
Yes.
someone tell you where to strengthen your ability or to strengthen the way where you go wrong, it's very important. If you didn't get that feedback to other student, other professor, you will not know where you went wrong. And that is very important.
Right.
To interact with the professor, to interact with other students, so that you can know where your strength will want to be added, or to want to be changed, or want to improve.
Of course.
So
yeah. Another part that Moss also focused on is posthumanism,
yes.
Which is a term that has been used for years and has been used years ago and changed over time. Moss mentions in chapter 7 that the central, privileged, and autonomous position of human adult beings, lording it all over else, from a high, along with the belief in their superiority and separateness from all else, is suspended. The world is no longer centered on human beings and their affairs. So he's basically saying that pedagogies in our field used to be taught and seen as subjects learning about nature as objects. It talks about the interactive process human beings go through and what it used to be seen back in the day.
So racism increases everywhere in the world. If we do not teach the children to know about the discrimination and how wrong it is, what could happen to them in the future, I will let you think. From my point of view, I understand that if we do not teach the children to value one another, they will end up betraying one another and hating one another in their future lives. In the reference, I add the video that discusses about discrimination. Martin Luther teaches his students not to treat other people differently, and that it is not fair or the correct way to behave with our fellow beings. In addition, not judge the color of the skin and not judge anyone based on being different in general. These same students, when they become adults, all come and thank their teachers after good 30 years. The day after Martin Luther King was killed, Jane Eliota, a teacher in a small all-white lower town, the students there were all completely white. So she divided her third grade class into blue-eyed and the other student in the brown-eye group, and gave them daring lessons in discrimination. This was a great lesson to me. This is the story of the lesson, its lasting impact on the children, and its enduring power for 30 good years later. Moss explained in page 171 that my point is that 21st century children need rationally and collective disposition, not individual ones, to equip them to live well within the kind of world they have inherited. They will need a sense of shared belonging and shared responsibility within the nature culture collective of their immediate common world. They will need to be able to build upon a foundational sense of connectivity to the nature culture collective. Such disposition and capacity will never be fostered through application of child-centered and hyper-individualist development framework. We can
definitely, and this comes to the existence aspect.
Yes.
He also talks about existence in chapter 7. He says that existence is not an individual affair. Both human individuals and non-human organisms and matter emerge through and as a part of entangled interrelations. The chapter also talks about humanism and its problems that have been happening for many centuries. Moss says in chapter 7, humanism has exerted great influence over human thought and actions, and its heart is the privileged and center position given to human beings, lording it over the planet, apart from and above the environment, and alone having the capacity for agency to act on the world to achieve a particular effect. He mentioned that in page 144. So the point that Moss is trying to make here is that we need to go beyond the human and non-human divide, as we understand our existence as a coexistence with the rest of the world.
Yes.
Basically, he's trying to say that there are many non-human things that exist in our world that we need to pay attention to.
Exactly.
He also says that both human individuals and non-human organisms and matter emerge through and as a part of entangled interrelations.
Mm-hmm. We can see and understand different religions and culture is important. We know when we teach children on how to cope well with other cultures and respect all religions will not make them wise, but also can leave them with unity and make many positive in their future lives. The reason I choose this main important interaction is that Edward Tronick, I need all the member of my group to see how interaction play a big role in the human life, especially for the young children. I also choose the class divided is that because I found it's very interesting to teach children to avoid racism. I found this video in my psychology class and I found it has inspired me personal and make me to understand this is all I want to need to inform you. And it is important as an educator and an adult to live with the people happily and positively way.
I agree with that, Fatma. It's very important to implement diversity with children and to teach them that it's okay to be different. It's okay to work with different people from different cultures. Mm-hmm. And this is why we try to implement that in the classroom in the early ages. Mm-hmm. So children get the idea that it's okay to be different. It's okay to talk to someone that is a different religion than you. It's okay to talk to someone that's a different skin color than you.
Yes.
It's totally okay. And this was our mention, what we mentioned in the beginning of the chapter, is that we all deserve love. We all deserve respect.
Absolutely.
And this was one of the, to me personally, this was one of my favorite parts of the chapter because mm-hmm. I feel like as an educator, mm-hmm. we have such a big role to implement that into the children.
Yeah, we have to. To conclude my part, for my understanding with this teaching of concept and theories of faculty and the laws are today being put in the work in early child education, provoking us to think and practice differently. So, to its posthumanism and concept and theories that it generates can only come to humanist practice that is inclusive all children as engage freely in their various environment, having an impact on everything they come into contact with. So those non-humans objects come into contact with them as well.
Yes, they can learn from everything around them. Definitely. So this was our conclusion of the book. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. I hope that me and Fatma have done a good job explaining the highlights of the chapter, and I hope you enjoyed listening to our podcast. Thank you so much for listening to us, and I hope you have a great day.
And I want to remind you, Dana, sorry for that, to add some question to them. So that
yes,
they
definitely.
will know what will come to their...
Of course, we have come up with 2 questions that we will also add into the discussion. Me and Fatma have come up with 2 questions that I think are great to reflect back on. So the first question is, what does inclusion mean to you as an educator? And how can you as an educator help children feel included? So this is the first question. And the second question is, how do you think you can implement diversity and culture into the classroom as an early childhood educator? Give at least 2 examples of your previous experiences. So you can give any example that you've been through, probably your placement or your workplace. How can you as an educator, or how did you as an educator, if you have any experience, how did you implement diversity and culture into the classroom? So we will be posting these 2 questions into the discussion, and I look forward to hearing your answer.
Yeah, Thank you, my group members, to be with us and listening to our podcast. And I'm happy to be with you all the time. And I enjoyed so much listening to your podcast. Everyone has amazing, interesting, and I learn a lot through your perspective, through your conversation, and through how you attach your ideas and your stories through this learning experience. Is a great learning experience. And thank you, our Professor Lisa, to bring this up. Is a very absolutely very nice learning we are using. It's not it's my first time to learn like this, but it's wonderful and amazing. And thank you very much, and have a good and happy life, and take care for yourself. Thank you.
Yay! We're done.